Yo, and we are live. Yo, this is Set with Set Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into these Trump interviews. Then we're going to get into complaints about Jimmy Kimmel being fired. And then we're also going to get into, Jerome Powell's excuses on, once again, being too late on cutting the rate.
Good to have you with us. It's been quite a couple of days here in the United Kingdom. Last night, you called the dinner one of the highest honors of your life. You were clearly moved and impressed by the dinner, and you were sitting next to King Charles.
Yes.
And one of the things that he talked about was standing together for Ukraine. It was on a list of things that he was thanking the United States for. I'm curious what you spoke with him about, and did he speak to you about his feelings about the war in Ukraine at all?
He did. He spoke about many things. We were together for a long time, really 2 days.
Yeah.
I just left him, and he's a great person. I knew him as Prince Charles originally, and now he's King Charles, and the people love him in this country. And he went through, pretty tough stuff and medically, and he's doing great. But he's just a great person. I've known him for a long time. Always said the same thing. He's a tremendous man who really stepped into a very tough position. Having to follow Queen Elizabeth is very, I guess she's got the all-time record, probably always will have, but she was in there for like 70 years or something. And to follow that is pretty tough. And she was really beloved.
Was there anything in particular that he wanted to communicate to you about his feelings about things?
I think that he was more.
And shout out Monty, getting off to an early start with a baller alert. And he says, let's open the line. Let's open up real quick. Let's just open the lines up real quick. And shout out my man Monty. Let's go.
More interested in trade. He loves the environment too. He likes to talk about the environment, but he was more interested in trade than anything else. And we're working a trade deal with the UK, which is going to be a good deal for both. And we're working it with the Prime Minister and his various representatives. And I think it's going to be, a great deal for both. We're doing tremendous trade deals for our country. We have unbelievable investment coming into the United States. And I guess because of the election, but also because of the tariffs. Without the tariffs, it would be a whole different story. We have more than $17 trillion coming in. As an example, Biden in his last year had $250 billion. So just a tiny fraction of that. And I don't think there's ever been anything like this, $17 trillion and more by the time we finish.
I want to talk to you more about that. But you spoke last night in your toast about the relationship between the United States and the UK, the fight against.
And the UK trade deal is looking pretty promising, because the UK agreed to eliminate tariffs on American ethanol and reduce tariff on US beef, which means they're going to open up their markets to our agriculture. So, yeah, it's kind of working. This seems to be the framework of all the trade deals. These guys pay a tariff to sell into our economy. They drop all their tariffs so we can sell into theirs. And they also have some type of investment into our economy.
Tyranny and fascism. We now have this situation where you've had 23 Russian drones go pretty deep into Polish territory.
Yeah.
Latvia, Romania also saying that they've had incursions. Swedish Air Force went up today into the Baltic Sea to chase away Russian fighter planes. What is Putin doing?
I'm disappointed in Putin. I'll tell you, I'm very disappointed in him.
What is Putin doing? Because I say this, you know what? I ain't afraid to say I'm wrong, but I did not expect Putin to stretch it like that. To be honest, he's already having a hard time in Ukraine. So for him to try to get Poland involved or to make his attack on Poland honestly does not make any sense. And I'm still within the belief that this is a false flag, trying to pull other countries into this. Because, Ukraine's losing, so they need a false flag to get somebody on their side.
Settled 7 wars at least, but I settled 7 wars, all of which they said were not settlable. And I got them done. And, the ones I'm not going to bore you going over a long list, but they were wars that were very tough to settle. Yeah. Even the Congo in Africa, Rwanda, going on for many, many years, almost 10 million people killed, settled, got them all done. And the one I thought was going to be easiest was going to be Russia, Ukraine, because of my relationship with President Putin. So I'm disappointed. If you listen to some people, the ones like in Poland were shot down and they fell into Polish territory, but they shouldn't have been that close anyway. They were drones. And
do you think it was a mistake? The Polish prime minister said it was not a mistake, that they were intentionally into Polish territory?
I can't comment on whether it was a mistake or not. They shouldn't have been there, let's face it. But supposedly they were.
And I'm looking this up now, but I don't even think Russia has honestly taken credit for those drones at all. I believe Russia's still standing on the stance that, we didn't send nothing over there and we don't know what they're talking about. But Poland still stands on the belief like, no, these are Russian drones. You sent them over here. Like, what's going on?
Disabled. Yeah. They disable drones today. That's the great attack on a drone is disabling it, and they fall all over the place. So let's hope it was that. I mean, I'd like to think the better, but I'm very disappointed in that. I thought that would be the easiest of all of them to get done, and it turns out to be the most difficult. The relationship between President Putin and President Zelensky is a horrible one. I mean, a lot to do with relationships. They truly dislike each other. I want to use that word rather than a stronger word, but they really do. They hate each other. And we'll see what happens. I think we're going to get a solution. I was unhappy with the European Union, or let's say NATO, when I saw that they were buying oil from Russia. I mean, I'm supposed to be coming in with the United States. And, I took a tough stand on, as you know, India, because they were buying oil. And ultimately, if oil prices go down, or if Russia is not selling oil, they have no choice but to settle. And when the European Union nations or the NATO nations, because they're similar, very similar, when they're buying oil from Russia, that's not the greatest thing. That's not the deal. And I let it be known, and people were surprised to hear that, but they were doing it quietly and slyly. And you can't do that. If you're going to win, you're going to have to not buy oil from Russia. And but we're going to see how it turns out. I hope it turns out well. It doesn't affect us because, we have a big ocean in between. But you're losing millions of people, and they're mostly soldiers, Russian soldiers, Ukrainian soldiers. Last week, almost 8,000 soldiers were killed in this ridiculous war. 8,000 people. And again, I want to see if I can get it done. It's tougher than.
Oh God, let's remember to double tap that screen and like the video. Let's get more people in the conversation by double tapping that screen. And I went ahead and looked up that information. So let's see here. It says Russia's defense ministry says it carried out an attack on Ukrainian military facilities, but claimed it did not plan to hit any targets in Poland. The Kremlin has described the accusations as groundless. They dismissed Poland's statement as rhetoric and said there is no new information to add beyond that. All right.
And I thought, but I've done a lot of tough things. It's so interesting. I settled wars that were absolutely, there was no chance of getting. We're going on for 31. One was 31 years. One was 34 years. One was 36 years. Going on for years and years. I got it done. This is one that should be settled. It should be settled.
Prime Minister Starmer has agreed to fly RAF jets over Poland to protect them. And back in August, you said we might help by air. You would consider helping in the air. What does that mean? Does that mean F-16s? Does it mean Patriot missile defense systems? How would you help?
Well, we are helping intelligence-wise. But when I said help by air, I'm talking about security after the war is settled. So after the war is settled, we would help secure the peace. And I think ultimately that'll happen. But,
if we can just get this war settled and Putin doesn't take Kiev. But shout out to my man Monty, says song in Discord incoming. I think you should consider making it your intro track. Up to you. All right, I'll go ahead and give it a listen. Why not?
There's a question of whether or not President Putin wanted a piece of it or all of it. You know that. And it was never going to happen when I was president, never. And there was never even a thought of it. And it didn't happen. For 4 years, it didn't happen. There was never a threat. I think the bad performance put on by these people in Afghanistan had a lot to do with it because it showed such gross incompetence. But we're going to get it done one way or the other. We're going to get it done. Again, very disappointed when they say sanctions. I don't mind sanctions. But when I do sanctions and people are buying oil from a person they shouldn't be buying oil from.
I saw your post
it makes it much different.
You said you go first on China. You said we're doing sanctions 50% against India because they're the biggest or second biggest buyer of Russian oil.
And we did that, and that's a big step.
So when you talked to Starmer, did you say, let's get everyone on board? If you guys do sanctions on India and China, then we'll do that too.
Well, if they did sanctions as an example, or tariffs or whatever you want to call it, if they did that on China, I think the war would maybe end because China is by far the biggest purchaser of oil from Russia. And I think they have other powers over Russia too. I'm speaking with President Xi, as you know, on Friday, having to do with TikTok and also trade. And we're very close to deals on all of it.
It's funny because everybody's talking about, oh, let's stop Russia, but it doesn't seem like nobody want to stop buying Russian oil to help stop Russia. I mean, India, one of the worst offenders, India and China, buy Russian oil and Russian weapons. I mean, Europe, well, they just buy a whole lot of Russian oil.
And my relationship with China is very good. You know, we have a trade deal with them. We had a very good meeting the other day. And it sounds like they've approved TikTok. And TikTok is a tremendous amount of money for the United States. So that was nice. But we'll see how that all works. But if Europe did something with respect to China, I think China would probably maybe force an end to the war.
Is there any openness to that? Did Starmer say they would consider that?
Well, I would have done something too. But again, you can't have Europe buying oil from Russia and then have me getting upset with China because they're buying oil from Russia. I was a little surprised, and I wasn't
Hungary
supposed to
gets
find
75%. Slovakia also gets in their NATO countries. They get a lot of oil from Russia. It's an interesting.
But it's not only those two countries, and those two countries you sort of understand because they actually do have a pretty close relationship. If you look, but it's other countries too, and you just can't do that. You know, the United States has been a sucker long enough in the world in terms of trade. Now we're doing unbelievably well, and we're making more money than we've ever made. And it's going to continue as long as we have the beautiful tariffs. I always said my favorite word. I made it my fourth favorite word, as you know, because love, religion, wife, family, etc.
And then tariffs.
I got hit by the press. So I said it's my favorite word. What about religion? What about family? And so anyway, so I make it my fourth favorite word.
You said in the news conference that you're just close to a deal with the UK. That was the first deal that was made, at least the framework, but it's still not finalized. A lot of people wondering when you're going to see those finalized. We made the deal with UK,
and they'd like to make adjustments to
on steel.
Yeah, we made a deal with UK. It's a done deal, complete. In fact, I signed it, as you remember. It was signed in the Oval Office.
Yeah.
But they would like to see.
Actually, the deal went through UK's parliament, but now they're looking to try to readjust some things. It's kind of one of the reasons why they invited Trump over, because they're like, you know, we like the deal, but, you know, is there a way we can make it work for us a little bit better?
They could make a little bit better.
Were you open to that?
I like them. We're making a lot of money.
So they're at 25% right now. You're going to go lower than that for them?
They're actually at 50% for steel and aluminum. And I want to see them. They're having a lot of difficulty.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
I want to ask you.
And I know you're of Scottish heritage, at least partially. So
I am.
Congratulations. It's a good heritage.
Highlanders, thank you very much.
It's a good heritage.
Starmer's under a lot of pressure, which you just mentioned. Immigration, very similar issues to what we're seeing at home. Immigration.
Well, we've stopped it.
Crime, all of it. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So do you think his government will survive, having spent a few days here and gotten a close look at what's going on?
I just think he's a really fine person, him and his wife. And, you know, you get to know people. I think he's a very fine guy. He's more liberal than me. I think he should take a very strong stand on the immigration. It's really hurting him badly. I think he has to open up the North Sea. They have some of the best oil in the world, and they have a lot of it. And they made it impossible for people to drill. And I think that's what causes their energy. You know, they have a big energy problem here with the pricing, whereas our pricing is way down. We're going to be close to $2 a gallon for the cars very soon.
That would be good.
We were up at $4 and $5. And when you bring energy down, you bring inflation. Look, I inherited the worst inflation ever. As I just said at the news conference, they say it's 48 years, and I'll accept that, but I think it's ever. And we now have very low inflation. We have great production. And when these factories that are being built all over the country start opening up, we're going to have numbers that like nobody's ever seen before.
When do you think that people are going to feel that? Because we do see polling that doesn't poll well in the economy. The recent Fox polling said 52% say the economy is worse under this administration. You've got unemployment at the highest rate in 4 years. Groceries made a big jump in the last term. So how is that? You're looking forward with these plans that you just talked about. When will people feel that, Mr.
Well, yeah, the job numbers has been kind of wonky. Yeah, employment has went up due to the job numbers and the revision. So here's the thing. I mean, it does seem like unemployment has been 4.3 since July. because of the Bureau of Labor Statistics giving us bad job numbers. And you're wondering why she had to be fired. It's because, a lot of companies and the government go off the job numbers.
When the factories start opening, right now we're building them. And, Fox polling, I have to tell you, I've told you before, it's the worst polling I've ever had. It's always, during the election, they had me winning by a little bit, not by a massive amount. And Fox polling, I've told Rupert Murdoch, go get yourself a new pollster because he stinks. And this is for years now. But I will say that we have all of these things are being built. Car companies are moving back. We lost 50%, 54% of we were the automobile capital of the world. And all of a sudden it got robbed by China, Japan, Germany, all these countries. Those companies, they're all coming back now to the United States. They're building car companies and factories all over. They're coming back from Mexico and Canada. We lost a lot to Mexico. We lost a lot to Canada. They're all coming back because of the tariffs. Without the tariffs, a different story, but they're coming back because of the tariffs. And you're going to see that kick in probably in a year or so.
Mm-hmm. So,
but we're doing.
Yeah, I agree. In about a year or so, when all jobs come back from overseas, pertaining to the auto industry, pharmaceuticals, tech, and all that good stuff, you're going to start seeing that job boom. But right now, though, like I said, Trump even admitted that we had to get through a pinch point, and it's not as bad as the Dems, framed it. Like I said, inflation's not out of control, unemployment's not out of control either, and we've honestly, and like I said, we've honestly been dealing with bad job numbers. So we honestly didn't really have a real good forecast of what was going on in the job market. And I don't even think we still do now, to be quite honest with you, because these revisions that came back from last year, even under Biden, was like, what, 911,000 jobs have been revised. So yeah, it's a little bit hard to tell what's really going on in the job market right now.
Well, anyway, look, we have right now, when you look at our numbers, the investment that's being made in our country is, again, Biden's at 250 billion, right, and we're at 17 trillion.
Yeah,
that's
a big number.
No, nobody's ever heard of a number like that. There's never been a number like that.
So, with regard to people's feeling about the economy and the tariffs, and some polls show that people are concerned about the tariffs as well.
That's only because they don't understand the word tariff.
Yeah, let's be real. 4.3% unemployment. It isn't bad. It isn't terrible because let's be honest. When we were just having our immigration arguments, you had a whole bunch of liberals debating, what you mean 4.2%? That's good employment right there. Why are you guys complaining? We should keep our immigrants, that wild stuff. But it goes up 0.1%, and you guys lose your ish. And now you're talking about the end of the job market. So please save it. Now, right now, we are just going through bad job numbers. I would like to see how things work out, honestly, to the end of the year, heading out into the fourth quarter. I believe we'll start seeing a pickup in jobs. But honestly, that's just natural, seeing that a lot of these companies are going into peak season around that time.
Look, again, we have all this money, trillions of dollars pouring into our country only because of the tariffs. I'd like to say because of November 5th, the election, but it's really because of the tariffs. And how do people avoid the tariffs? They build in this country. No different than what China did to us for years. No different than what Europe did to us for years. Europe was as bad as China. No different than what other people did to us. But we have the advantage. We actually have a big advantage on tariffs.
Oh, and another thing, too. The jobs, well, let's be real, though. Everybody's also admitting that these immigration numbers, like the fact that we've been deporting people left and right, we've been busting into buildings, construction sites, and all that good stuff. That also plays a hand into, these jobs, all this unemployment or the unemployment rate going up will kind of let you know that, so you guys were kind of fudging numbers with illegals. Well, yeah, with undocumented citizens, and you put them in there, and then there you go. Oh, we got a good employment rate, even though not too much of our U.S. citizens are employed. But don't worry, we got people in those jobs. They're just not U.S. citizens. But here's the problem, though. The companies that are hiring these illegals are getting tax breaks off the U.S. citizens' back. So it is a bit disrespectful to do that.
The advantage is they want to be here. They have to be here. Right. They don't have to be in other countries. And that's why we're doing, these are numbers that nobody's ever seen before. So it's a very, very important thing. And the only people that are against tariffs are people that are in favor of other countries. For instance, we have a lawsuit. Well, it's financed and sponsored by people from other countries because we're doing well against countries that were ripping us off. Martha, we were
Yeah.
ripped off for years by other countries, including.
And it's crazy how people really don't see that. It's like, here's the thing. If you don't see that the tariff propaganda has been insane, like the tariffs is honestly good for America. Bringing jobs back from overseas and giving to the American middle class, like you would think the Dems will be all about it. But since it's Trump doing it, they're fear-mongering it. And here's, like I said, and a lot of people say this all the time, if tariffs is so bad, then why do other countries put it on us? Why do China have tariffs on us? Why does India have tariffs on us? Why does damn near, I would say 80% of the world has tariffs or import limitations on us? So all of a sudden we switch it around on them, and now we're the bad guy. Now we're taxing our citizens. And then let's lead into that argument. If tariffs is a tax on the consumer, well, so is raising the corporate tax. Well, so is tax on unrealized gains. So really any tax that affects businessmen or corporations could be passed down on to the consumer. So where's your argument really with that? Like, what, do you really hate tariffs because it's a tax on the consumer, or is it just Trump? Because you can make the same argument for corporate tax and tax on unrealized gains.
In China. And, last term, I had a tremendously successful term last term, but this is much better. We're doing much better. If you look at regulations, I cut regulations more than anybody else. We got the biggest tax cuts we've ever gotten. I've taken those tax cuts and expanded them, extended them and expanded them. And the numbers that we're seeing are the best, I think, that we've ever seen.
So you talk about the hundreds of billions of dollars that have come in because of the tariffs. Would you consider, where's that money going to go? Would you consider giving it back to taxpayers while they wait for some of the things that you just talked about to kick in? Is that an option?
Politically, that's a nice thing to do, but you can do that and you can also pay down debt because we're talking about very big numbers.
So which do you like better?
Both, maybe. I mean, I could see both. I could giving something back.
Pay down the debt.
Look, these people have been forced to suffer for years by being ripped off by other countries, including China, and frankly, including the European Union. The European Union was as bad as China. Now they're treating us very nicely. I signed a deal with the European Union. They have to pay us $950 billion. They have to buy $750 billion in our energy. They have to pay $200 billion for something else. I mean, nobody's ever seen Japan. They're going to pay us $550 billion in order to reduce the tariffs, just to reduce them down to 15%. Well, to get them down from 30 to 15. But
they gave us like $550 billion in loan guarantees. I mean, if you're a business and you want to go take out a loan with your bank, well, the bank is more inclined to give you that loan because it's coming risk-free at the expense of the Bank of Japan. They're willing to back up almost any loan, depending on what it's for, to go ahead and, get this thing started, get manufacturing started in America in terms of auto and tech.
30 was just set by me. We get it down to 15. There used to be nothing. They'd send millions of cars into the United States and they'd pay nothing. You know what we paid? You know why we paid nothing? Because they wouldn't take our cars. We didn't have one car sold in Japan for 5 years. They didn't take in our cars. And yet we took millions of their cars. And they're a friend of mine. Look, they're a country.
That's what tariffs do. It protects their domestic economy. I mean, when you keep out all other cars, you make sure that no other foreign company can profit off you guys. If there's no Ford, Chryslers in Japan, that means, well, American companies make no money in Japan. But guess what? But I mean, we know a whole lot of but Japanese automakers that make money here. I mean, we also know Japanese companies outside of automaking that make money here. And it's not just Japan that do that to us. I mean, India does it to us. Of course, China does it to us. EU somewhat does it to us. Not every country there, but you get my point.
Along with, I got especially Abe, who's killed, unfortunately, who was assassinated, Prime Minister Abe. He was like a great friend of mine. And he actually said to me, I said, look, we're going to have to talk fast. We have to talk. He said, I know.
It seems like that's the response from a lot of leaders. They know that the gig is up when it comes to the relationship.
You know where they really know, though, is on favored nation drugs.
Yeah.
Because for years, we've been paying sometimes for a pill $100 and they're paying $10. And I say, what's this all about? And now the drug companies agree that I'm right. And the countries, if they don't agree, I'll use tariffs to get them to agree. You understand?
Yeah.
And we're going to be reducing drug costs over the next year and a half by not 50.
And the reason why a lot of these countries don't like the tariffs and are bending the knee to them is because, their suppliers got to be eat the tariff. That's the problem. Their supplier, either the country operating in the company operating in that country that's being tariffed, they're the one who usually got to take the brunt of that. And if you're a government, you don't want to see your top businesses fail. Because why? These businesses support support your GDP and all that good stuff. So if tariffs is hurting your businesses, you're going to do whatever you can to try to either lower them or get rid of them. And that's why a lot of these countries came and bent the knee to tariffs. Even though you guys thought it was a tax on the American people, it actually turned out to be a way to, to chokehold the economy of other countries in terms of exports.
50 or 60% by 1,000%. Because if you think a $10 pill going, so it'll be raised up from 10 to 20 because it's the world versus us. So the world is a bigger place. So it'll go from 10 to 20. It won't go from 10 to 50 or 60 for them, which is bearable. And it'll go from 10 to 20 for us. So you're talking about a monumental change in healthcare. That's going to affect Medicare, Medicaid, even Social Security. It's going to affect everything. That will be one of the biggest things you'll ever see done, because we've been paying for the healthcare of every nation in the world so stupidly.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox.
Yeah, I mean, these pharmaceutical companies charge us more while the other companies other countries pay less. This is why countries like Australia can get away with only having to pay like what, $6,700 per citizen, and they're able to cover every citizen under their universal health care. We can't do that in America because it's damn near triple the cost. But all right, though, let's go ahead and get into Trump on Air Force One. And I went ahead and posted the call-in link in the post tab. Like I said, if you want to donate at least $1 to the stream, or if you are a member, go ahead and hit that call-in link.
Well, I hope you had a good time, everybody. I think it was a really good day and a half. Very intensive. Any questions?
What was the best call? What was the best call?
I don't know. I think being with King Charles, he's a wonderful guy. Got to know him very well. I knew him before, but now I know him a lot better. The artwork. I saw more paintings than any human being has ever saw, and statues, but they treated us great. They treated our country great. And that, I view that as being really respect for our country the way they did it, because last night was beautiful. And you had the biggest business people in the world there. That was respect for our country. Yeah.
Mr. President, have you had conversations with Secretary?
Oh, guys, let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen, man. Let's get to 100 likes. Appreciate the support.
I'm trying to say. Have you had conversations with Secretary Rubio or any of your military leaders about possible regime change in Venezuela?
No, I haven't.
You haven't had any discussions about plans or how to make it happen?
No, I haven't.
You mentioned in your remarks at the press conference something about.
I'm pretty sure that's what we're going for. We're definitely going for a regime change in Venezuela. I mean, why else would we put a $50 million bounty on this guy's head, on Maduro's head?
Bagram and bringing it back to the U.S.?
I'd like to get Bagram back.
Do you know how you plan to do that, sir?
They need a lot from us, and I'd like to get it back. It should have never been given. Bagram should have never been given the airbase. There was gross incompetence to give that up. It's one of the most powerful bases in the world in terms of runway strength and length. The strength and length, you could land anything on there. You could land a planet on top of it. Can you imagine they gave it up for nothing? Just, let's leave. And it's an hour away from where they make their missiles, China.
Mr. President, it's been a month since you're meeting with Putin. Is it time to call for a ceasefire? It's been a month since you're meeting with President Putin. Is it time for a ceasefire to call?
Doesn't feel like it. But at the right time, if I have to do it, it'll be harsh.
Mr. President, I ask you a question about something you said.
I don't know what we could do.
You said, Mr. President, regarding Antifa, what you posted.
Who you with?
That NPR, sir.
Where they were gone.
Regarding
Are they still here?
we are.
Are they still here? Oh, good. Congratulations.
Yeah. Regarding designating them a terrorist organization, when they don't have defined leadership or membership, how do you target them?
Who does it?
Antifa.
We're going to find out, right? We're going to see.
I mean,
people have been
let's be real. Antifa's never been truly investigated. So We really don't know if they could have leadership, but we ain't investigate them like that. So once they're being investigated, we might be able to find some leadership. They might have, some type of secret system set up to where they got chapters all over America. God forbid. But hey, they've never been investigated like that, to be honest. But we'll see.
About it for a long time. We're going to see. Did they have anything to do with your network? Okay. Well, we're going to find out. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, you said earlier this week that the women who yelled at you, who were protesting when you were at Joe Stone Crab, should be in jail. Do you actually think that that is an offense that deserves jail time?
I don't know how they got in there, but certainly I thought it was very inappropriate. And they said things that were and it was a question of when you take a look at the way they acted, the way they behaved. Yeah, I think they were a threat.
You think that deserves jail?
You agree with me?
Hold on. Let me make a comment on something real quick. So they know what Antifa is. They know what Antifa has done, and their first statement is, "Why are you going after them?"
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Is like these have been a problem for a while. We kind of just swept them under the rug as if they're not a problem.
We ignore them. We let them burn cities down, and we arrest members here and there. And this idea that there's no like you said, Seth. I'm glad you brought up that point. They've never been investigated at a deep level. They've never had the designation as a terrorist and a top priority for the executive branch to look into how they're getting their funding, how they're getting their movements done, what communication channels they're using, and it's hilarious to me that the first thing they want to do is defend or give any pause for consequences to people that beat people and burn our cities. That shows you where their alliance is.
Investigate them, they might be linked to a whole lot more than we ever knew.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we track money pretty well, and especially if you're designated as a terrorist organization, it's real easy to track your money and see who's funding you. And if it turns out someone's funding you, that's the leader, guys. It's not. They don't. No one in the modern day technological scene is going to stand up and lead a terrorist organization. Your days of having your Osama bin Ladens and your those types of people are over. It's going to be factionless or factioned groups of people. They're not all just showing up because it's a cool thing to do.
I will say this: it's either that or, like I said, we didn't do enough investigation to discover who's there, Saddam Hussein or Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, they're not going to get up on TV and say, I'm leading this movement, because they know what they're doing is socially unacceptable. They know what they're doing is illegal.
You never know.
And that's the definition of terrorism. The definition of terrorism is using violence to persuade a populace or to affect political change. That is the definition. That is what they're doing. They want to affect political change, and they use violence, looting, vandalism, and other forms of violence and suppression of ideas to do that. They are a terrorist organization. Maybe they're not an organization per the, this is their leader, this is their president, this is their thing, but they are organized under one name. They are, yeah. So
No, I get what you're saying. No, I definitely agree with you, though. You're right. These guys, one, they do need to be investigated. Two, we can't just sit here and act like these guys aren't tied to a lot already. And three, why are y'all defending this? Why, don't defend this. But all right.
You think they deserve jail?
Well, I don't know. What's your Congress focus on? What are your top priorities with Congress?
We're going to finish the wars. We have a couple of them going. As you know, you look at Gaza, you look at Russia, Ukraine. We're working on that, and I'm working with Congress on it. But I think we'll get it. We did do 7. We actually did more than 7, which people don't like to talk about. But I say that and the economy, always the economy, especially bringing down the oil further. If we get the oil down, that war ends.
here's a subject that I don't think a lot of people talk about. I've been talking to a lot of American truck drivers in the last couple of weeks, and I'm asking them what their biggest concern is. They tell me some of these foreign truck drivers, they come to schools here in America, Utah and California to be specific. Right? They get fast-tracked through the system. A lot of them don't speak English, which I know you did an EO about speaking English. But they're causing a dangerous situation on the road.
Yeah,
That's what
like
they're telling me. I don't know what we can do about it.
I don't like it. I see the one, he had the accent and couldn't read a sign, didn't know what was happening. Yeah, no, I'm not in favor of that at all. Got to speak English.
So, President Mamdani said that he would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes to New York City because of the ICC warrant. Would you intervene if that came up?
Yeah. It's inappropriate.
We asked GBNews viewers the questions they would like to ask of you and the Prime Minister today. The main question was, would you please swap jobs with him? And the second question behind that was really, why are we in the UK moving towards Europe when Europe is failing and America is flying?
Well, look, I think
That's a damn good question.
The UK has a tremendous asset known as the North Sea. And it's loaded up with it. They like to say, well, it's really diminished. It's not. And there are lots of areas out there that haven't been found. Look at Norway. It's the same kind of thing. They've become so rich. And for UK or other parts of Europe to take, especially UK, to buy oil from Norway, and they haven't. But they don't want to do it. If they would drill in the North Sea, if they would let them, they've made it impossible for people.
So you think it starts with energy?
It's a tremendous asset. And it's tremendously valuable. And there's a lot of oil left. They've been drilling there for a long time, but there's a lot of oil. And there's a lot of oil out there that hasn't been found yet. And with new drilling techniques, when they think a well is closed, the new drilling techniques, you can drill for another 50 years. It's crazy. It's such a valuable asset. And instead, they're putting these stupid windmills all over the place. And every time you put up a windmill, it costs the country millions of dollars a year.
Not true. Not true. That's a lie.
What's up?
The fact that it costs a windmill $1 million a year or millions of dollars a year. A windmill is about $3 to $4 million for one that can power like 10,000 homes. So I will forever stand against Trump on this idea that green energy is somehow a scam. It is a huge upfront cost, but it becomes more grid stable when you have batteries and backup, energy storage. So that's all that. I gotta disagree with them once in a while.
All right, I get it. I personally think green energy is a scam, but we'll get around to that later on.
It's a scam. People use green energy to scam people. Green energy itself is not a scam, but people use it to scam people.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Monty on this. The issue, the primary issue with a lot of the green energy right now is trying to integrate it into the grid like standard power plants.
You got to think completely different, just like you have to think completely different when you drive an electric car. It's not, you just fill up and you have whatever. You have to think long term and what your peaks will be and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, like
they say we're turning away from coal and all that good stuff, but you still need it to, produce.
Solar would work way better if if you took solar and if we were to integrate like every parking lot with
solar roofs.
Parking.
Yep.
Solar roof. That would be way better than trying to go out to
the middle of a field.
Desert
but then our landfills would be trash because those aren't recycled.
Incorrect. So so you can't recycle it now you can recycle it now. The technology is just infantile because the technology going behind it is infantile. There are companies
now.
Then that means that was not really incorrect. Then that just means that we're working on it, but that's still a factor.
In the next 25 years that these solar panels are rated, we will figure out how to recycle the solar panels. It's not, it's just carbon.
Monty, I don't know if you found this out.
You make a great solar panel salesman. I'll give you that one.
I just found this out in March. An Italian scientist I was talking to, can't remember who I was talking to. I know Zoloff was in the voice chat with me. Mm-hmm. They've successfully developed a solid light. So they've been able to actually capture light and make it solid. So probably here in the next, probably here in the next 5 years, like solar power is going to become even more useful to us.
More dense and more energy rich. Yeah.
So I mean, it's just the fact that we aren't integrating it correctly into the grid.
We spent 125 years, or sorry, 150 years developing the infrastructure around fossil fuels. And I hate the term fossil fuels. I don't think that it's some fucking aggrandized horrible thing. I just think that it's a lot more efficient. It's a lot more efficient to just fucking throw a solar panel out in your yard and power your house than to drill 2,000 feet.
The big issue is the last, since the 1960s, 1970s, really the 1950s to 1970s, we got to the point where we're like, oh, a lot of these natural gas, coal, all that stuff, we realized we can't have these in the city centers because they're polluting.
No one wants to breathe the dirty air. Yeah.
We pushed them out further, and then we got to the position of, we only
got to
zone
transmit
power plants further away from cities. So now we push these new energy grids further out, and we don't have the ability to store them correctly. It's just it's a logistics issue.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with green energy being a scam. Like I said, green energy companies will try to scam you.
Oh, they're stupid. Most of them are tech bro companies. They're just like all the apps companies. They're dumb tech bros. They get their degree. They're like 25, 26, and they're just trying to make their bank by the time they're 30 so they can retire.
Yeah, that's it. So that green energy as a concept is not a scam. Green energy in this market is a scam.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to make that distinction.
If you were to put all the windmills on top of every one of the skyscrapers that we have in major cities, they would.
Oh my God!
They would power the entire city just by having the windmills on top.
One windmill can power the fucking the skyscraper it sits on top of. Yeah.
Yeah, but they won't do it because of FAA regulations.
Yeah, it has been a concerted effort on the right, and maybe you can say it's corruption and fucking big oil and all that fun shit. I kind of subscribe to that idea, but
all right,
there's definitely.
And hold on, guys, let's get back to it. Let's not go on too long.
That was a long segment for something that he said in passing.
It's all good.
Well, I mean, it's a question that keeps coming up, and it's a bad question.
That, it costs a fortune, and you should make money with energy. You shouldn't lose money.
You do.
You lose, including those massive solar fields. That take up all the farmland, and they are black plastic from China. You ever see what happens to a bird when the birds land? They get fried because it's hot.
That's fucking evolution, baby.
You don't need a sauce. You don't need
the thermal uplift plants are the worst design ever developed.
Yeah, the mirrors that
the lunatics. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, last week in the Oval Office, I asked you about if Ilhan Omar should be censored. Congress censored her. I just want to get your reaction to that.
They did censor it. Good. When did this happen?
Was it yesterday?
Yeah, good. I think she's terrible. I think she should be impeached. I think she's terrible. Is she originally from Somalia?
Yes, sir.
So how are they doing it? How's their government? Do they have a president?
Not really. All right, come on, Trump. We all know the situation with Somalia. They ain't got no damn government. Damn near a pirate state. Come on. We know the real. But what that young lady said was out of pocket. And when the left says, give us one politician that says something negative about Charlie Kirk, well, there you go. That Omar young lady. Yeah, she kind of screwed herself or screwed y'all with her rhetoric.
So, do they have anything in that police? I love these people.
And hold on 1 second, Set.
Go ahead.
This culture of violence and fucking rhetoric is not mainstream enough for them to be able to say the things they want to say. So they push, like you said, rhetoric. They push subtle fucking cues. They say things like, "Oh, it was anything but a MAGA supporter that did this." They say things like this to stoke the flames. It's not. No, they're not going to be dancing because he's dead like the TikTokers, because the TikTokers don't, have FCC licenses that can be pulled.
Yep.
Like
stochastic terrorism. Now, that kind of brings the reason I hopped in is I wanted to jump in. very much on the fence about was it an official EO, I believe, that was signed?
I
For
believe it was
the
official for
designation.
Antifa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the fence about it. One, because I don't know how you go after a terrorist organization without being able
The
to.
same way you don't declare war on a whole bunch of countries and you just say it's the global war on terrorism.
Yeah, it's weird, but at least with the global war on terror, we were able to issue out the decks of
The deck
cards,
of
right?
cards and yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how we do that as it stands right now. It's
No,
going to be
this is how
weird.
you do it. The next time a riot flies off and you get a bunch of mass bandits that are claiming to be Antifa, they all get terrorism charges. That's
That's kind of where I'm at now. How are we doing that? Without the Fed? It goes back to what I asked before. Why is Tyler not being charged by the
not being
federal
charged.
government?
Yeah.
It brings back that weird question of why is he still only being charged at the state level for an aggravated murder in the first degree?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the if I had an answer to answer it knowing what I know now today, I think the feds are just holding their cards in case this case blows up at the state level. They can prosecute him at a federal
There's
level.
definitely something weird there. I want to know. And after that segment that we watched with Candace the other night, and some of the new stuff that's come out, and the fact that the media keeps calling the boyfriend, girlfriend, furry, roommate instead of saying otherwise,
Boyfriend, partner.
Yeah.
Something is amiss here that's feeling really off.
I think that the reason they're doing that is just political correctness. They don't want to. They're
That's the
leftists.
weird thing is now that's the political correctness they're going with. When this for the last 10 years they've been pushing acceptance for this, pushing it as what they
So
want.
think
And now
about
they're
this. This isn't
backpedaling
happening.
fast.
This isn't happening in a vacuum. A right-wing leader died, and the right is arguably fucking on edge, ready to fucking get violent.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's a weird situation, and we're still very much in the fog of war initial right after. So yes,
yeah,
it's a weird one. And now
it's because it
this
develops so
EO,
fast. That's what that's what I'm saying. This develops. This is developed faster than any story in my lifetime. Honestly,
I mean,
other than the
it
Boston
really has.
bombing.
I mean, I don't remember even. I mean, aside from 9/11, which went from 9/11 straight into the anthrax scare right after, where we had 9/11, and within I think it was 4 or 5 days, we had that FedEx truck explode.
Yeah,
and people don't remember the FedEx truck because they covered it up almost immediately.
And all right, guys, let's go ahead and get back to it.
Nothing, no anything, and then they tell us how to run our country. No, I think if she got censured, that's great. If she got impeached, that's even better. They impeached me twice for nothing, and they impeached me knowing the Republicans are on my side, so they knew it was.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
She should be impeached.
Hold on, what's up, Monty?
This guy, he said alternator power and a battery can run your freaking house. I guess this guy's never heard of thermal losses or, conservation of energy.
Hey. Hey, people think they know everything when they in the chat.
What she says is out of line. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, are you going to ask Brendan Carr to weigh in on other late night hosts that you have said should be off the air?
Late night host is on network television. There is a licensing. I'll give you an example. I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I got 97% negative, and yet I won easily. I won all 7 swing states, popular, I won everything. And
he's speaking about the coverage of him.
they give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr. I think Brendan Carr is outstanding. He's a patriot. He loves our country.
I'm not a fan of this path that we're on. I mean,
as far as licenses,
I put something into the Discord earlier. There is a weird reactionary state we're in right now, and it's almost ironic where historically speaking, in society, when the right does become reactionary, it tends to create new parties. It creates new philosophical positions. That's why I despise everyone going, "Oh, the right's fascist, or the right's Nazi, or the right's this, or the right's that." The right never becomes the same thing it's been before. It
All
always
right,
creates
before
something new.
you go on that one, because we didn't even really get a chance to really play the video like that. But shout
Well,
out to
I'm
my man
talking about,
Hellbat. He says set
yeah.
one. I got you. Guest dude. He says set one to revisit the legal mindset video, since you stopped it right when he started going on how Antifa could be declared a terrorist organization. Now, wait. I think he was mainly going over on why Pam Bondi sounded like a dumbass in that one interview. But send it to me. Yeah,
The
I
hate
thought
speech
that was
interview.
it. Yeah, like with legal mindset. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and play the video out for a good 5 minutes. I'm gonna bring you guys in for analysis. All right.
All right.
Fantastic.
Tough guy. So we'll have to see. When you think about this, 97% of the stories are opposed to me, and yet I win easily the election. It's pretty amazing when you think of it. That shows they have no credibility. Go ahead.
I was just going to agree with. I mean, could you use that same logic with news? If someone,
in the old days, I remember in the old days that every 4 or 5 years, a network would reapply for its license, and the license is free. You know, they get this valuable thing for free, and they'd reapply for a license. And if they did something wrong, well, I beat George Stephanopoulos, Slopadopoulos, I call him, George Slopadopoulos. They had to pay me $15 million for what he said. I beat CBS for much more money than that, including advertising and other things, much more money, because they totally changed the answer that Kamala gave. What a question. I mean, they didn't change it. They took it out and put a different answer in. And they didn't want to go to court with that. That's a tough one to go to court with. So, no, I think that if you remember, years ago, I remember as a kid, they would file, it was a big deal, every 4 or 5 years, and I don't know, you don't hold me exact, but it was like 4 or 5 years, they'd have to file for a license extension. I don't hear about that. The only one that I've heard even bring it up is Brendan Carr. I think Brendan Carr is doing a great job, and I think he's a great patriot.
What do you think about the fact that you attend an event in England, a state visit, spectacular,
right,
and yet the Mayor of London can't be there?
I don't want him there. I asked that he not be there. I don't want them. I think the Mayor of London, Khan, is among the worst mayors in the world. And we have some bad ones. If you look at Chicago, but I think he's the equivalent of the mayor of Chicago. I think he's done a terrible job. Crime in London is through the roof. The Mayor of London, Mayor Khan.
Yeah, I would say this. The mayor of London make our mayor of DC look like a saint right now. So I'll give him that. And shout out James Foley. He says, "Hey, it's me, Big Wave Dave, in my new form." I'm shout out to James. Shout out to this man James.
He's done a terrible job. And on immigration, he's a disaster. No, I asked that he not be there. He wanted to be there, as I understand. I didn't want him. I've not liked him for a long time. I just think, I have a certain pride in London and UK. My mother was born in Scotland, as you know. And when I see Mayor Khan do a bad job, the stabbings and the dirt and the filth, it's not the same. I didn't want him there.
And the Prime Minister said to you, when I asked about, are we a Christian country, his answer was that he was christened. But he's quoted in newspapers.
Who was right?
The Prime Minister said, I was christened, he said today, this afternoon, as though that explained whether we were a Christian country. But he's actually been quoted as saying, 2 years ago, saying he was an atheist. He's a committed atheist.
Yeah.
Is he the kind of guy that says something when you're there?
I don't think. Look, I think he's a very nice man. I really do. And his wife is nice. And we live for a day and a half. And the thing I most disagree, I guess I disagree with him on 2 things: immigration, which is very rough for the UK, very rough, and energy. As I said, the North Sea. If I had that, I'd make a fortune. Look at Norway's accounts. Look at the cash Norway has. And they have the same thing we're talking about. I don't even know if they have as much, but that's a tremendous asset. So those two things. But
You got the feeling.
I mean, I get along with him. Right? I think he's a really fine person.
You got the feeling today that business is keen to invest.